Um, Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it, and I hope wherever you are in the country that you're keeping warm. It's really, really cold in Jeffreys Bay today. So to start off, I think the most important thing for me to say is that what I'm going to do today is not planned to be a sales pitch at all. I just want it to be a conversation about what our Northern Lights tour entails. And I want you to really be able to, at the end of the conversation or the presentation that I'm going to do, to say, yes, this is something that I'm interested in. This speaks to me. This is something that I want to invest in, or no, this isn't for me. So I want you to be able to make an informed decision. So what I'm going to do very shortly is I'm going to walk you through what the Northern Lights entail. Just very briefly, I'm not a scientist. What we're going to be doing on the tour, why we do our itinerary the way we do it, more specifically, why we don't cruise, a little bit on what to pack, and then, of course, what the cost or the investment will be if you do decide to do that. Okay. Um, so if you give me 1 second, probably a little bit longer, I'd like to share my presentation with you and then we can get going. Right. So to start off with, the itinerary, of course, or the tour, of course, is taking place from the 13th to the 22nd of February next year. And later on, I'll touch on why we choose February. So let's just get going with the presentation. Right, so I said I was going to share the um, science about regarding the Northern Lights with you and what exactly the Northern Lights are. Now, again, I want to remind you that I'm not a scientist. So yeah, please bear with me. I'm going to try and do this as well as possible. Okay, so firstly, I'm sure you all know that the northern lights are called the Aurora Borealis, and of course that is for the northern half, and then or the northern hemisphere, I should say, and then in the southern hemisphere they're called the Aurora Australis. So we're going to be visiting the northern hemisphere, so it's the Aurora Borealis. Okay, now, sorry, I see there are people in the waiting room, so let me just let them enter quickly. Okay, here we go. Right, so they've been admitted. Okay, so let me start again. I'm so sorry. So, Aurora Borealis, Northern Hemisphere, and this is what the Northern Lights are. So the first thing it's important to know that the Aurora Borealis is caused, or the Northern Lights is caused by the sun. So what happens is solar flares release charged particles into space, and then when those particles reach the magnetic fields around Earth, they're drawn towards, or when they're into space, those particles reach our magnetic fields, and some of them get trapped in there. And depending on which gases they connect with and mix with, is how we see the different colors, or what different energy is released. Right, so when these particles collide with oxygen, we get a green color in the light. So often in the Northern Lights photos, you would have seen a green color right at the top, and that's when the particles from the sun connects with oxygen in the magnetic field, and when it connects with nitrogen is when we see the pink and the deep violet colors. So that's basically what the scientists say it is, but what I can tell you is that it's an absolutely magical experience and it feels like something really ancient is stirring in the sky. So the other point to take note of, and this is important because it'll influence how we plan our itinerary, is that the Northern Lights are best seen in dark skies. Okay, so away from city lights. Right. I'm going to move on and touch on Why February? Remember I said that I would talk about why we choose February, so let me do that. Okay. So February in the northern hemisphere gives us very long nights, and mostly it gives us clear skies, not a lot of rain clouds. Okay. When we go into the Arctic Circle, we have better visibility, we have fewer clouds, and because of the fewer clouds, we can see how the particles connect with the gases in the magnetic fields. When there are lower lights, it's the same with stars, of course. When there are lower lights, when we're away from the city lights, then we can see stronger, brighter colors for the northern lights. Okay. So that's a good thing in terms of February because it gives us clear skies. And the second thing is it's cold enough for us to have some snow activities because, as I'm sure you know, in December, etc., there's not a lot of snow yet in Europe. Okay. So moving on from that, maybe I can just explain a little bit of the tour with you or to you. Right. I said that I would explain to you why we do our itinerary the way we do and why we don't cruise. So maybe let me start with that. The first thing is that when you do a cruise, it's got a fixed route. The ship has to go, the boat has to be in the harbor at a certain time, and it has to leave at a certain time, of course, because it's got a schedule to keep to. So if an excursion is planned for you, that is the excursion that you will do to a specific point, and whether the weather in that specific point is suitable for seeing the northern lights is secondary to the schedule of the ship. Okay. Secondly, obviously, there are limited stops because, again, the schedule. Okay. So when we do a land-based activity, we watch the weather. So we might be based in Kiruna. Yes, that's true, for instance, but we can still watch the weather around Kiruna and decide in which direction we want to go that night to see the northern lights. So maybe if we head east, it'll be clearer skies versus if we had to head north for that evening. So in other words, we look at the cloud cover, in which direction should we go to maximize our opportunity to see the northern lights and to go hunting for these northern lights. We stay in nice warm accommodation, so don't worry about that. And again, we have flexible opportunities in the evening to go and see the lights. So we start our tour in Stockholm, which is a lovely cultural introduction to Scandinavia. And then from there, we fly into the Arctic Circle and we land at Kiruna. Okay. Right. From Kiruna, we visit the Ice Hotel. So this is only going to be a visit. We will not be staying in the Ice Hotel, but we'll also have some lovely snow activities. We're going to be visiting a Sami camp. There'll be a Sami experience with reindeer. As I said, we'll visit the Ice Hotel to go and look at their different rooms and have a drink in the ice bar. It's freezing cold, but they do provide you with snow clothes. And we'll go husky sledding, which is a fantastic experience. As the huskies pull you, all you can hear is their paws on the snow and the snow crunch with the sleds that's being pulled, and this beautiful silence that falls over you when you're going through the forest. And then we stop for a cup of coffee or tea to heat up, and then we carry on again with the dog sledding. So that's really a fantastic experience. And then, of course, the highlight of the tour is for us to go on our photo tours in the evening to go and hunt for the lights. And as I have said now a couple of times, we watch the weather, we watch the snow, the cloud cover to decide in which direction we need to go. Okay. These are photos, well, the one photo is a photo taken of our group last year. Okay. Then there is an optional experience for us to go to just outside Narvik to go to the experience with the wolves. This happens at the polar park. So everyone goes and visits the polar park, but the wolf experience is an optional experience. Now, it's important that I say that I mention this, but these wolves are not in very small enclosures. It's a very large camp, and the wolves have free will whether they want to come to the people or not. There are very strict rules about how you have to interact with them. You have to go and sit on your knees. You're not allowed to touch a wolf unless it comes to you specifically. And the wolves really do choose who they want to go to. You're not allowed to hug the wolves. You're not allowed to go too close to them. So you're briefed on all of that beforehand. And sometimes, well, you'll see some of the wolves outside of the circle of humans, and they'll just be sitting there watching you. And some of the wolves will come in and kind of sniff around and decide whether or not they want to go close to someone. Right. As I said, this is optional. Right. So another thing that's really important to say about this tour is that often we say that touring is not the same as a holiday. And that is true because you want to do as much as possible. So often you say to yourself, I've got this list of things that I need to see. And then at the end of the day, you come home and you feel like you've had no time to rest. But this tour, there really is some breathing space. There's time to sit and have a cup of coffee and just chat to your friends or to your spouse. There's time for you to sit and read a book, or maybe just to sit outside. Well, if you've dressed very warmly, maybe you'd rather sit at a window and to soak up the atmosphere. Okay, so yes, we do a lot, but there is also time, which is a really lovely experience. Especially when you're on a tour. Okay. Right. And then the question we often get is, what do I pack and am I going to be cold? Okay. So yes, it is going to be cold. There's no denying that. But if you prepare properly, you don't have to feel the cold. Okay. So the first thing that I want to say is you need to invest in woolen base layers. Okay, so there's a company called Core Merino, and we like to send our clients to them because I wear their clothes myself when I go to the Northern Hemisphere and specifically into the Arctic Circle. And they have different types of things from long johns to vests. They've even got jackets that you go more like a top or a sweater that you can buy from them. So look at Core Merino. They've got some wonderful woolen goods, and you want something which is woolen and not a synthetic material because synthetic material makes you sweat, and then you go outside and the sweat condenses and it gets cold, and so not a good idea. You want to wear natural fibers as your base layer. Okay. Now, then it's not on the slide, but the other thing you need to have after your base layer is a middle layer or, like our normal outer wear in South Africa. So that would be something like a fleece or a woolen jersey, but just a normal layer so that when you go into the hotel or into a building, you can take off your outer layer, which will be your waterproof insulated outerwear, and then you'll be wearing your normal pants and a normal top, and underneath that you'll have your merino layers or your base layers. Okay. So when we're talking about our middle layer, the other thing to keep in mind is a jean is not always the best idea because jeans can be really, really cold. Okay. For your outer layer, your waterproof layer, your insulated outerwear that we mentioned here, K-Way does now stock ski wear. They have some pants and jackets that fit together. So you can definitely get those. You can definitely get the outerwear there. Okay. Right. And then you need some waterproof insulated boots. Again, K-Way, Cape Union Mart does stock those. Okay. The other thing that we mentioned here is crampons. Now, crampons are, for those of you who don't know, they're like elastics that you put around. That's the best way I can explain it. It's an elastic sole that you put around your shoe, and then attached to that are spikes. So you wear your normal shoes with a good sole that's got good traction, but then you attach to that an elastic with spikes that helps you to walk on ice and stops you from falling as easily. So, I mean, obviously it's not compulsory, but it definitely is recommended. Okay. Then the basics, gloves, beanies, scarves, etc. And because the cold really drains the energy, your battery quite quickly, it's also important that you take power banks along and extra batteries for your cameras, etc. So we do provide a checklist for those who book on the tour, but these are just some of the questions that might influence your decision, or some of the things you need to pack that might influence your decision. Okay, and then obviously there's always the question about cost. So we quote in Norwegian kroner, and then on the day of invoicing, we use the same exchange rate for everybody. And then 2 days later, after everyone has been invoiced and everyone is paid, we send the money out of the country. So we use the exchange rate given to us by the bank. We invoice everyone on a Tuesday. By Thursday, everyone should have paid. And then that afternoon, we send the money out of the country. So that's the way we operate. And how you need to look at the cost is you add the land arrangements per person sharing. If you're going to share with a friend or a spouse or another family member, you take the land arrangements per person sharing. And you add to that the internal flights in Scandinavia. So those are the flights that we take from Stockholm to Kiruna and then from Tromsø to Oslo. And then you convert that to South African rand and you add the international flights to and from South Africa. So if you're going to be sharing a room with someone, the cost per person sharing is about 125,000 per person sharing. And if you're not going to be sharing a room, you need to add an additional 10,450 Norwegian krona, which is about 19,000 rand at this stage based on today's rate of exchange. Okay, so that covers the cost. Right, and then just a little bit of extra tour information. We've discussed the dates. How fit must you be? You really don't need to be fit. There's no, you don't need to be able to walk 5 kilometers a day or 10 kilometers a day, but you do need to be able to walk independently. So this is far more important than your fitness level, is that you must be able to walk easily, independently, without relying on other people to help you. We are going to be walking in snow. We are going to be walking on ice. And ice is slippery, so you need those crampons. Maybe a walking stick with a spike would also help you. And we've had elderly people on this tour who have managed quite easily, but you need to be well prepared. Okay. If you haven't already received the itinerary, please let us know, and we can send those on to you. But on the itinerary, we indicate which of the meals are included. And when we say that a meal is included, it's a good meal. I'm not going to tell you a meal is included and feed you a hot dog. It's going to be a 2 or 3 course decent meal. We use local guides in Scandinavia who speak English, who speak a good English, and there's also a Seagull tour leader that accompanies you. If you've got a South African passport, you do require a Schengen visa, and we'll give you the information to do the application, or if you need assistance, we can help you with that as well. Okay. Right. The other thing that I think is important to mention, and this is not because I'm telling you that you need to hurry up, this is because I want to highlight the exclusivity and the intimacy of our groups. We don't go with a group that's more than 15 people. We want our groups to be small, to have time to enjoy socializing together, and for people not to feel as if they're getting lost in this massive group. Not only that, but taking massive groups also kind of dilute your experience, because you're trying to get 40 people to experience the polar park, or 40 people into small minibuses to go, well, obviously different minibuses, but all of them need to get on the bus or onto the for the transfer or into the different minibuses to go to the Northern Lights. It's just a different experience when you're traveling with 40 people versus 15. Okay. Um, yeah, we've been in travel for more than 30 years. It's a family business. If you don't know who I am, I apologize. My name's Elizabeth. I'm the second generation owner of the business. As I said, we believe in small groups, we believe in real connection. We don't believe in commercialized tours. We do want it to be an intimate, authentic experience for our guests. And we've got a lot of clients who come back to us time and again, not because we offer loyalty points or things like that, but because they like the way we travel and they like the way we do things. Um, yeah, I did see that there were some questions in the chat, so allow me a few seconds to just look at what those are, and um, I'd have a look at that. Um, Okay, Neville and Sharon, no problem. Our team will send you the itinerary. And then I'm not sure who Samsung is, but thank you for that. We have been using them lately, so I will just have a look and contact the B, yeah, BKB, who is in Port Elizabeth. It's a co-op in Port Elizabeth, and I'll make sure whether they've rebranded or what the situation is. And we can let everyone who was in the chat know about Cool Merino. So thank you for that. Um, it's a pity if they aren't available anymore because their clothing was really, really nice. But I'm sure with us being in South Africa, we'll be able to find something else. And we will do the research and get back to you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and then I will just open the floor for any questions. Right, so if you have a question, you can pop it in the chat or you can just unmute yourself and chat to me. Right, ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't look as if anyone's got a question. I've made a note of Sharon and Neville who have asked for us to send the information to you. My team has your information, so they'll send it. Neville, I think you've unmuted yourself for a question.
Yes, sorry, Elizabeth, I did join late.
No
Can you
problem.
just tell us about the dates of the tour and
Yes.
whether it will be repeated in a future year?
Yeah, so this is a tour that we do every single year. And it will be repeated. Obviously the price increases every year. And what I'll do is I'll just open the slideshow for you again, and then we can share those dates with you again. So, oops, there we go. It's from the 13th to the 22nd of February. So that will include the departure day and the arrival day back to South Africa. And then maybe I should also just note, Neville, that we do record this. So we'll send you the video recording of this webinar so you can have a look at it again.
Okay, thanks very much.
No problem. Okay, hang on. I see there are two more chats. Let's see. Linda, yes, absolutely. And I see Elizabeth from our office is very efficient and she says everything has already been sent. Thanks, Elizabeth. Okay. Right. So what I need to do is to go and look where we can find Core Merino. And if we can't find it anymore, I better find a different supplier. Let's see what else we've got here. Thanks, Johan. That's lovely. Yeah, we all need something to dream about, or to save towards. So fantastic. It's definitely worth it. Okay. Right. If there aren't any other questions, or if you don't, oh, there's one. Why am I missing it? Okay, perfect. Elizabeth will share the information with you, Johan, no problem. Yes, Linda, if you want to pay, if you want to book, you do need to pay a deposit. So up until the 15th of June, which is around the corner, unfortunately, there's a reduced deposit, which Elizabeth will also tell you about. But if you don't pay before, if you don't book before the 15th of June, then it's a 30,000 Rand deposit. And what we do with that deposit is we break it into intervals. So you can pay 10,000 and then about 2 months later, depending on when you booked, our accountant sends you an invoice for the next 10,000 and then the next 10,000. So in total, your deposit is 30,000, but it's not all at once. No problem. Maybe I should also just say that if you have kids, for instance, in Europe or family that you want to go and visit, maybe friends, or you want to do something else, that's also entirely possible. All you need to do is to speak to our consultant who handles this tour, and she will arrange for you. She'll help you with your flights, or if it's an extra holiday that you want to do, she can even plan that for you. We do tailor-made individual travel as well. So maybe if you want to do twee vliee met een klap, then that's completely possible for you to do that as well. Go and visit your kids somewhere in Europe if they're staying in Europe, and then do the Northern Lights. Or if you have friends in other parts of the world who want to join this tour, that's also completely possible. I'm going to have a quick look at some of the questions that we've sometimes had and just see if there's anything that I haven't covered. Okay, it doesn't look like it. But I'm still here and open to answering questions. If you don't have any questions, or if you don't feel comfortable asking them here, you're more than welcome to just send us an email as well. I'm going to type the email address in here in the chat so you can have a look. Okay, so it's info@seagulltours.co.za. So you can send us an email there and we can answer any questions that you may have. Okay. If you are going to try and phone us today, unfortunately, there's a fiber cable that has been pulled apart. I'm not sure by whom, whether it was the municipality or whoever, and they're busy fixing it. So it will take some time for us to be back online in terms of our telephones, but we are available via email. Okay. If you don't have any more questions, you're welcome to leave. I mean, you're also welcome to stay, of course. Pop them in the chat, unmute yourself and ask me, and I'll just wait to see if there's anything else for the next couple of minutes. And then, yeah, then I'll leave. Linda, I'm not sure what you mean by surcharges. Are you talking about the airport taxes? Okay, perfect. So yes, it includes the estimated airport taxes, of course, and all the activities that we mention in our itinerary as included are included in the itinerary and in the cost that I've discussed earlier. What is not included is the optional wharf experience. Okay. So anything Other than the wolf experience, if it's mentioned on the itinerary, it is included. No problem. Okay. I'm going to stop sharing and then give you another minute or so for any questions. And then we'll end this call. But again, you've got our email address. We'll send out the information. I'm sure it's already been sent out. Elizabeth is so efficient. So, yeah, we'll send out the information. We're available via email today, and hopefully by tomorrow we'll have our phone again. Thanks, Neville. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, so everyone, thank you very much for joining us. I really do appreciate it. Keep an eye out on social media, etc. We do have webinars quite frequently where I talk a little bit about the tours and what they entail so that you can make an informed decision. All right, I'm going to end this now. Take care, everyone. Bye.